council are present. All members of our jury or alternates are present. Our witnesses back on the witness stand. And Mr. Lane, you may continue your examination.
Thank you, Honor. Before I get back to where I was before the lunch break, I wanted to just briefly go back and just clarify something about the PayPal records of Joseph McStay, okay? And correct me if I'm wrong, I had asked you if you had ever reviewed the PayPal records from Joseph McStay that you got from PayPal. Sorry?
I reviewed them to make sure they were Joseph McStay's PayPal records.
Okay, but you didn't, did you review them to see what the transactions were in total, or did you just see that they were Joseph's and then someone else went ahead and did some type of analysis?
That's, your second statement is correct. I just wanted to verify it was Joseph McStay's, and then I sent it over to the fraud.
Okay, so, and you have your 106-page report?
Yes.
Could you go to page 15, please, and see if it refreshes your recollection as to what you did with his records?
Okay. Which paragraph?
March
Black's
3rd.
Foundation, you didn't say you didn't remember.
Well, we're rolling to review this report.
March 3rd.
Yes. It'd be the 1, 2, 3rd full paragraph here.
Third paragraph. Where I'm requesting the records?
Yes. Keep reading.
Okay.
Does that refresh your memory?
Well, it does, but it doesn't change my statement. So this is a summary of what occurred. I viewed the PayPal information, did not locate any specific evidentiary information. I didn't, and then it was forwarded to fraud, and then they didn't.
It doesn't say it was forwarded to fraud. It says, I later placed this CD-ROM into evidence.
But I didn't document every minute of every day.
Okay. But you said that I viewed the PayPal information but did not locate any specific evidentiary information.
That's correct.
So the reader of this is that you viewed it for evidentiary information.
Why wouldn't I?
You just said you just reviewed it to see if they were Joseph's.
I looked at it, made sure it was Joseph's. Nothing to me stood out. I forwarded it to fraud. I looked at it. That's all I did. I'm not a fiduciary investigator.
Who did you forward it to in fraud?
It went to Sergeant Varno, who in turn turned it over to Detective David Hale, I believe.
Sergeant who? Barnett?
Varno, and it's French, but B-A-R-N-E-A-U, I think.
Did you have later contact with Investigator Hale?
Of course,
Detective Hale?
yes.
Regarding the PayPal records?
Regarding his entire summary of what he found, or his lack of what he found.
I'm just talking about the PayPal records of Joseph McStay's.
I don't remember our conversation. I don't think I said, not tell me about PayPal, not tell me about Joseph's account, not tell me about Summers' account. I asked him, did you find anything suspicious that I should dive further into? And the answer was no.
Then what led you to ask Dan Kavanaugh for specific information regarding those transfers?
Because it seemed unusual to me initially that money was flowing between, or in and out of EIP, the funds, at the discretion of the defendant and Dan Kavanaugh. But when I clarified it with them and with the family, and I got a unilateral answer that, yep, that was okay, I had no reason to question what they were doing at that point in the investigation. None.
Okay. And so I asked you earlier about those transfers that you asked Mr. Kavanaugh about. Those were transfers from Joseph's PayPal account.
Objection, Black's Foundation.
Sustained.
Hearsay.
You said that they were initially suspicious.
Suspicious is, well, it
I'm using your words.
sparked my interest.
Sparked your interest. Okay.
Sure.
And what specifically sparked your interest about those transfers?
Objection, relevance, hearsay.
Sustained is cumulative.
back to, I'm gonna go to exhibit 115. I think this is kind of the general area I was before lunch. I'm gonna put up 115. We could, this was, I believe, shown to you on direct examination. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay. And this was pointed out to you, this portion of the photograph was pointed out to you, which has some type of, it looks like some type of substance. Is that correct?
that's correct.
And I think at the prosecutor's question, you indicated that that could be, or looks like paint. Is that correct?
Based on the totality of what was going on in that house, that's why I came to that conclusion, yes. It could be other things too.
But as you indicated earlier, nothing was collected there, correct?
Correct,
And that substance was never tested. Is that correct?
absolutely not.
And you know that the kids, Joseph's kids, were both helping MacGyver paint while he was doing painting. You knew that, correct?
I don't think I specifically knew that on the 19th. I may have, but I kind of doubt that that specific fact would have been forefront in my mind, even if I was told.
Okay. But you did go back and review these photos, right?
Oh, I've seen these photos and I've read all the reports and listened to all the recordings many times.
Okay.
Yeah. Just the.
I'm going to put up another exhibit here. Yeah. I want to talk about the Isuzu Trooper. You said that you had at some point participated in the processing of the Isuzu Trooper. Is that correct?
I was actually in charge of it because I served the search warrant on the trooper.
Okay. And part of the search warrant request was you asked the judge in that case for that warrant to be able to go in and fingerprint and collect any DNA that you could, not necessarily find with your visual eye, but just test different areas for DNA and get fingerprints and things of the like. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And so you went in and you did that. Do you recall when that was, approximately?
February 20th, the next day after the residential search warrant.
Okay, so you went and you did that. Was that, now, by this time, the Isuzu Trooper was in the possession of the San Diego Sheriff's Department, correct?
We took possession of it on February 16th.
And it was transferred to your, whatever location you designated it to be.
Crime Laboratory in San Diego,
Okay, and so that's where this processing occurred, is that correct?
in the secure garage of the Crime Laboratory.
Okay. I take that as a yes. And then you made some visible, in addition to collecting some samples from the Isuzu Trooper, you also made some visible observations, is that correct?
Yes,
Okay. I think you mentioned some of them previously, that there was some cups and things, or maybe even a mug, a coffee mug or something of that nature, is that correct?
I remember it being a coffee, like a travel coffee mug, yes.
And did you pay attention to how the seats were adjusted, like the driver's seat and the passenger seat?
I did, and I documented that.
Okay, and why is that important to do?
I do that on all, anytime I process a vehicle under any circumstance. I process it, measure it, may even sit in there after it's been processed for fingerprints, DNA, that kind of thing, just to see how the size of the human that was probably there last.
And did you do that in this case?
I did.
Okay. And you made a note in your report that the seating positions were upright and normal, is that correct?
I remember it that way.
And that the driver's seat was in a position close to the steering wheel, is that correct?
I need to look at my report, but
Yeah.
you're asking me those specifics now.
It'd be page 10 of 106.
I'm there.
Towards the bottom, maybe third paragraph, fourth paragraph down. You got it?
I'm reading it now.
Okay.
And what was your question, specific?
So again, you did sit in the driver's seat, correct?
I did.
And that would have been after processing, correct?
That's correct.
You indicated Summer's height is 5'5" and Joseph's height is 5'9".
That's correct.
You also noted that there was 2 child seats attached to the rear seat,
Yes.
and that there was a large quantity of property in the rear seat floorboard.
Yes.
And as far as you were concerned, it was unlikely that a 5th passenger could have traveled in that vehicle without disturbing the property on the rear floorboard. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. The rear storage area had, the vehicle was packed with the new children's toys.
Yes.
Okay. And the seating position was consistent with Joseph's height, the driver's seat, and similarly with the passenger seat in regards to Summer.
Actually, the way I document it is I am 6 foot 1 inch tall, and the position was, for the stature would have been a person smaller than me.
Okay.
I don't know if it was set for Joseph or Summer, or somebody else.
But the reason, the purpose of putting that in your report, you didn't document anything that was abnormal about the seating position. You said it was normal, and then you referred to their heights, correct?
Objection compound, Dave.
Sustain this phrase.
When you said the seating positions were upright and normal, what you were referring to was they were upright and normal for Summer and Joseph, were you not?
Upright and normal to me wouldn't have been for Summer and Joseph. It would have been upright and normal, and the reason I would have documented it that way is the seats weren't reclined in a position that was unnatural. So upright and normal is exactly those words, upright and normal.
If the seating position was in a position where somebody, like let's say all the way to the back, okay, somebody with super long legs,
That would be upright and normal for someone with super long legs.
but you would have made a notation of that, right? If it were that way.
I would have said the seat is in a position further from the gas pedal than I could reach, and I'm 6 foot 1.
And Joseph is shorter than me, or his height is 5'9". So that obviously would be a different seating position, or an abnormal seating position for Joseph, correct?
Objection, Jake. Compound.
So there's no reason to put that in your report then, or was there a reason to say that,
Objection
document their height?
argumentative.
Sustain this argument.
Was there anything inconsistent about the seating position for a male 5'9"?
No,
Now, did you ever document Chase Merritt's height?
I don't think I documented it. I know that he's pretty close to my height.
6'1"?
Well, 6, that's how tall I am.
Okay.
I would assume he's 6 foot, just based on my interactions with him.
Okay. Now, when you processed the Zuzu Trooper, I indicated in the warrant for the Trooper, you asked the judge to go in and do fingerprinting and to collect samples for potential DNA. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, you wouldn't be able to see any of those, either fingerprint or potential sample for DNA. You wouldn't be able to necessarily see that with the naked eye, would
No.
you?
No.
You just got to go in and logically look and gather information, correct?
That's right.
Okay. Maybe the steering wheel, that would be a logical place, right? Because gear shift area, correct?
Correct.
Okay. in this, when you talked about the search warrant for the house, and you did the same thing for the search warrant for the house, right? You asked the judge to go in and do certain things, correct?
To search the house for items of evidentiary value.
Okay, and you asked the judge, well, before you went into the house, you want to be able to fingerprint, and you want to be able to collect materials for potential DNA testing, correct?
Objection, asked to answer cumulative.
Staying on as cumulative and on relevance agreements.
All right, we're going to go to Exhibit 659,
Picture what?
picture 625.
Is it 65, picture 214?
How about number 1?
There you go.
Okay, here we go. Was that it? Go to the next one. Just roll through those, yeah. What's that? What's the next one?
Exhibit 636, which is picture 240.
Exhibit 636. This was that hall closet, or closet.
Master bedroom walk-in closet.
Okay. And you indicated that when you saw it, it was generally in this condition, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And do you recall well, you said that members of the homicide team went in and handled this material or handled these items and looked at them for potential evidence. Is that correct?
After this photograph was taken, yes.
After, okay. Was there an after photograph taken as well, or just a before photograph?
We don't always take an after photograph. Usually that's just to document any damage that may have occurred during our search. But we don't usually document to show that we've moved clothing.
Okay. And let's go to the next one.
Would be exhibit 657, picture 694.
Again, this is the, well, can you describe what this is?
You're standing in the bathroom between the sink on your left and the shower on your right, and you're looking into a doorway that leads into the master bedroom closet.
So kind of the same picture we saw before, just a little bit of a different view.
It's a different view, different clothes.
Different view, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So you want exhibit 659,
So this is 659,
picture 740.
picture 740. Okay, so this is, again, that master bedroom bathroom.
Master bedroom bathroom with a view into the master bedroom walk-in closet.
And if you could, we're gonna zoom in on that in one sec, just to,
I'm going to show exhibit 661,
and we're gonna put side by side 661, exhibit
picture
661,
449.
picture 449. These would have been taken on the same day, correct, on the 19th?
You tell me, I don't know.
Well, these are your photographs, right?
There are hundreds, maybe 1,000 photographs in this case file. So that is I've stated many times, that's a master bathroom. And when they were taken specifically, I don't know.
Does the counter, if you could just, I know there's perhaps some blockage with the door, but is the countertop in a similar state in both of those photographs?
Obviously not.
Okay. Do you know which one would have been taken first and which one would have been taken second?
Only because I saw the residence on the 15th, and again, when I entered on the 19th, looked more like the photograph to my right, which is 449. And the next photograph that you're referring to, where it looks like items have been moved, is photograph 0740. I can make an assumption, but I don't know that that does anyone any good. It was after, I would assume 449 came before 740, not sure
Well,
why it was taken.
okay, so if I can just represent to you that neither of those are from the 15th. Remember, there's only 7 photos taken by the Deputy Tingley, right?
Yes,
And those are not one of the 7. These are both, and there was no other photographs taken other than February 19th on the interior, correct?
I don't know what you have, but
I'm
I
asking
assume
you-
this is from my case file.
Did you take any photograph, did your department take any other photographs other than the interior of the residence, other than the 19th and the 15th of February?
No,
Okay, so these 2 photographs, if they're not from the 15th, they would have both be on the 19th, correct?
that's the assumption.
Okay. And here we see that the countertops are in a different state.
Okay,
Okay. Would it be fair to say that on the 19th, deputies maneuvered and moved the items on the counter? Our
we
detectives?
absolutely touched and moved items on the counter on the 19th.
Okay. So this would be Exhibit 29. This was a photograph showed to you by prosecutor. Do you recall seeing that?
I do.
Do you recall seeing it when you were there at the residence?
Seeing this area of the house or this photograph?
Seeing, well, you wouldn't have seen the photograph, but seeing that area of the house with that, what appears to be some sort of staining or some sort of mark on the floor there.
I definitely saw this area, and I may have seen the photograph. You said I wouldn't have seen the photograph. Many times, the forensic evidence technician will show me photographs that she finds important that I review. I don't know if this is one she may have shown me or not.
Okay. How about just the area?
Absolutely, that's the front door in the upper right-hand corner would have been hard to miss.
Were you aware, in speaking to Mr. MacGyver, that he had the kids help him paint up at the front of the house there? Were you aware
As
of
I
that?
previously stated, I know that now, not because of you.
Okay.
During the investigation, that became a statement that was relayed to me or given to me by MacGyver. But on the 19th, my concern was finding the family, searching the house for clues that would lead me to finding the family.
Right.
That's it.
So, on this, did you direct Ms. Williams to either take a sample of that material that's on the floor there, or anything other than photograph it?
I did not direct her to sample it, but there's your photographic evidence of it.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to show you Exhibit 89, and that would be photo 175. Exhibit 89, how about that? Did you see this?
I remember it.
It's an apple.
Yes, I remember that
We
specifically.
can just zoom in on that a little bit so we can see there's a bite mark, correct?
Yes,
Or maybe 2 bite marks, depending on
Yes.
how you look at it.
depends on how they bite.
Okay. Did you know where that came from when you were there on the 19th?
No idea.
No idea, right?
Right,
But you knew that someone had bitten into it, correct?
absolutely.
All right. Did it look like a child's bite, an adult bite?
My assumption was a child's bite.
Okay. Did you collect that to perhaps get some type of evidence off of the apple?
I don't know what evidence I would collect off that apple that I would need.
If someone bit into it, wouldn't that leave potentially some saliva or other material that you could collect and maybe test to see whose it belonged to?
Much similar to the questions you gave me about the fingerprints, I don't have any evidentiary value in collecting an apple that's going to rot and already has started rotting. So to collect children's DNA,
But you don't know for sure that it's a child.
what's that?
You don't know for sure that it's a child.
I don't know that it's a human.
You don't know that it's, so it's a non-human that bit that apple?
Objection, argument.
Sustained a cellular.
Okay. Well, did you think that at least the potential for genetic material could be on that apple?
I think what I need to clarify is we went in to find evidence.
I understand. I'm asking you for a yes or no answer. Is there the potential for genetic material to be on that apple?
You can rephrase this question. Go ahead.
During your search of the house, did you believe, when you looked at that apple, that there could be a potential for genetic material on that apple?
I deemed it to be non-evidentiary.
When you, let's go to photograph 0077. I don't know the exhibit number, but I have PRW 0077. 0077. Yeah. This is regarding that, I think council referred to it as some sort of, or you may have referred to it as some sort of light or black light. You recall that?
Yes.
0076. I'll take it. Yes. You recall that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's exhibit 47.
And you saw this when you were there, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Were you aware during the course of your investigation, you knew that Joseph was in the fountain business, correct?
I did.
And you knew that, and you actually went to see some of the fountains, or saw some of the fountains, correct?
I don't think I've ever seen any of his fountains in person, but I saw many, many examples on the internet and doing research through the internet.
Okay. So you know then that a UV light is required to purify the water, correct?
I don't know that.
You didn't know that?
No.
Okay. What about just your general knowledge? Let's say a fish tank. Have you noticed that in fish tanks that you'll have a UV light to purify the water?
No.
You don't know that?
I
Okay.
don't know that.
Did you have a reason or an occasion to investigate or contact a company called PODS, P-O-D-S?
Yes.
And why was that?
Sometime during the investigation, it took a little while, somebody informed me that the McStay family had, I know I made an inquiry to where the furniture was. Furniture for the house, where is it? And I don't know who informed me, but I learned that the bulk of the furniture was stored in pod containers that were moved.
If you could refresh your recollection, go to page 11 if you need to, of 106.
From there.
Okay, so if you need to refresh your recollections, paragraphs 1, 2, or sorry, 1, I guess paragraph 1 would at least start you off in that direction.
Sergeant Roy Frank is the one who I tasked with helping me out on determining who had the pods, where the pods were.
And the reason that was important to you is because it had a lot of the potential records and property and, as you said, furniture of Joseph and Summers, correct?
Objection calls for speculation.
Overruled, you can answer if that was his understanding.
I don't remember what I was thinking in 2010, but that's a fair assessment that their property would be in the pods. I don't know what property would be in the pods other than major furniture.
Okay. But you definitely wanted to get the, or at least be able to view the property inside the pods, correct?
I would probably want to. I know I never did, so
Okay. So would February 22nd be the first time that you started your inquiry into the property in the pods?
I believe so, based on the report.
Okay. And you said that you never were able to look at the property from the pods, is that correct?
Yes, I never specifically looked at it, and I don't think anyone was I don't think anyone got to look at the ponds.
Okay. In the pods, there was potential financial records, correct?
I don't know.
Well, did Ms. Blight tell you that that's where there would be some financial records?
And that was my recollection.
Did Dan Kavanaugh say that there'd be records, financial records of the company in the pods?
Objection, hearsay. Lex Foundation, relevance.
Stand on those grounds.
So, you said you never got to view the pods. Did you know where the pods were located?
Anaheim, that whatever pod storage facility was in Anaheim.
Did you ever go to Anaheim to see if you could look in the pods?
No,
Why?
because there were many more pressing things to do to find the family or to find evidence of a crime or a crime scene, and it wouldn't be located in pods in Anaheim that were packaged in San Clemente prior to the family disappearing.
Okay. Did you tell Ms. Blake to pay the pods rental fee so that you could get the property?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
And eventually, the pods property, the property that was in the pods, got auctioned off.
Objection,
Correct.
relevance, Lex Foundation.
Sustained by the foundation.
Did you make any other inquiries into the pods after February 22nd?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
Now, talking with Dan Kavanaugh, when you first made contact with Dan Kavanaugh, he represented to you that he was...
Objection, hearsay.
Well, I don't know what he's asking, so I don't know if that's basis for something that he did later or just a statement of Dan Kavanaugh. So
Is there-
at this point, the objection sustained is hearsay.
is there a reason why you waited to interview Dan Kavanaugh in person and not right away?
He was in Hawaii.
Okay. And at least that's what he told you, right?
I actually later confirmed he was in Hawaii during the time the family went missing.
What did you do to confirm that he was in Hawaii?
He got some sort of, well, I got his statement, and then I asked him for his itinerary from the flight, and he provided me with something. I don't know if it was a receipt for the ticket, so it was substantial.
A reservation online? That's what he provided to you?
It's possible.
Okay. You didn't do any independent verification of what he gave you, did you?
No, I had no reason to do that at that time.
Okay, what about later on? And let's say the entire 2.5 years before you handed over the investigation to the FBI, did you do anything independently to verify that the information he gave you was correct?
No, I was looking for a family missing, and that wouldn't have brought me to the family.
Did the name of John Pugsley come up in your investigation?
Objection, relevance.
Sustained.
Was there an issue of the EIP QuickBooks account, the online QuickBooks account, in terms of how it was being paid for after the family went missing?
Objection, vague. Lex Foundation.
Sustained.
Did it come to your knowledge that a third unknown party was paying for the upkeep of QuickBooks Online for EIP?
Objection, relevance. Lex Foundation.
Sustained also through Spencer and
Did you look into the issue of whether or not EIP had an active QuickBooks online account?
I solicited QuickBooks for Joseph McStay's and the IP's records.
And you got those records, correct?
I did.
And during that, when you got those records, did the issue of who was paying for the QuickBooks Online come up in your investigation?
Objection relevant.
Overruled the answer yes or no.
I don't recall.
If you can go to page 41 of 106.
Okay.
Actually, you may want to start on page on page 40 of 106.
The bottom paragraph.
Actually, the second paragraph.
The second paragraph from the top or
From the top.
The second paragraph doesn't have anything to do with QuickBooks.
Are you on page 40?
I am.
Okay.
It starts on May 12, 2011 at 1400 hours.
Yes. You had requested Ms. Curry to help you. Is that correct?
Yes,
To locate someone.
that's true.
Actually, go to page. It actually starts even before that on page 39. Sorry.
On the bottom paragraph.
Yeah. Well, the second to the bottom.
There's an awful lot there, but okay.
Does that refresh your memory about the name John Pugsley?
Objection relevant. Again, that's on that.
Sustained on relevancy grounds evidence for 352.
Why did you ask crime analyst Curry to assist you in locating John Pugsley?
Objection relevance.
Sustained.
Did you receive a call from John Pugsley on May 23rd?
Objection relevance.
I got to get there, Your Honor. If I can't get there, you're not going to know the relevance unless I can be heard at sidebar.
All right, counsel approach.
I'll say it.
Okay. All right, the last objection is sustained.
Nothing further.
Anything on redirect?
Yes. Familiar with the phrase Monday morning quarterback?
Yes.
What is a Monday? Is that's somebody who comes in Monday morning and talks about the play of the quarterback on Sunday and probably never played the game.
I've been experiencing that here on the stand.
Okay. Explain that to me a little bit, please.
Essentially what it is
Very relevant.
Sustained.
When you went into the house on the 15th, you were asked some questions on cross-exam about taking photographs, right? Well, running back out to your car and taking a bunch of photographs.
Yes.
Would you agree that that's easy to say now that we know that the family's dead?
It's easy to say, and it's against my protocol back then.
Explain that, please.
Well, look, once again, a welfare check is pretty simple in law enforcement. You're checking for the welfare of a person. You're not checking for the welfare of walls, cabinets. You can make those observations, but your goal in a welfare check is to check for the welfare of a person or persons. Along with that is a welfare check. You might be looking for somebody who doesn't belong in the residence of that guy. That was what I went into the residence on the 15th to do. With an investigative mind, and I guess disclosing that has bit me, but I'm able to look and use my brains on top of looking for a person and look and see what I see. But to stop what I'm doing, call the welfare check done, exit the residence, grab a camera, re-enter the residence, I am no longer in a welfare check mode. I am now in investigative mode for evidence of, for evidence, I need a search warrant.
For a search warrant, you need evidence.
I need something to get me the search warrant.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about your conversation with Mike McStay at the time. Did I show you a couple portions of the transcript of his interview yesterday?
Yes,
Okay. In those portions, Mike's telling you, I'm going to go back in and get on the computer.
he did.
Okay. Did you think at that time, again, how long had you known about the family's existence at that point?
An hour.
You known about the family's existence for an hour. Did you think at that point you could legally tell Mike, do not go back in there and get on that computer?
I know I could not tell him not to go into the house.
And similarly, the next day on the 16th with Susan Blake, you said you expressed it firmly, but did you think you had the right to say absolutely not?
I have no legal right to tell her to stop. I asked her to stop.
Okay. So this line of questioning about securing the residence, etc., makes sense now. Would you agree now that we know the family's dead and
We're here in court on a homicide trial.
that they were murdered? But
Yes.
back then, when you've only known about the family for 24, 48 hours, what was it like then?
It was investigating a missing persons case with the hopes that there was not a homicide or foul play involved.
When you went down on the 16th and obtained the surveillance videos from the various businesses, again, you're working on information. Is it concrete information that you're receiving about when the car was parked there or when it wasn't parked there?
No, it was very vague.
Just a couple of follow-up questions. You said the clothing, there was nothing of any evidentiary value. What did you mean by that statement?
When we're looking at clothing, we're looking for the same thing we were looking for in the house. Clothing that was ripped or torn because of the struggle, clothing wrapped around a weapon, clothing that had blood on them, articles of clothing with blood. Anything that would indicate foul play. Clothes laying somewhere does not indicate foul play on the surface of a missing persons investigation.
So, why would the clothing, you were shown a side-by-side picture that was represented to you, sorry, it was represented to you, they were taken on the same day, and the clothing was moved, it looked like.
Yes.
Okay. Why would that be?
Because investigators had moved it, and for some reason, the forensic evidence technician took a picture at a later time. I don't know why she took it. It may have been directed by me, maybe not.
Well, if you have clothing on a counter, as an investigator, don't you want to see what's under the counter?
Yes.
What's under the clothing?
That's what we do.
You also see what's in the drawers, maybe?
That's what we do.
In those photographs that you were shown, one of them, and I showed you a photograph as well, that had a robe. It's called the robe hanging up, the white terry.
I do.
Okay. Was that a white terry cloth robe?
It was.
Okay. Did you obtain any other evidence that other robes had been purchased by someone extent?
I think I did.
Objection, foundation.
The answer, and thanks for obtaining evidence on that, is the objections overruled, the answer remains.
Did you see any other terry cloth robes in the house?
Not that I remember, just a big adult-sized white terry cloth robe.
You said that the apple you determined to be non-evidentiary. Why was that?
Well, the defense was alluding to the DNA and asked me several times why I didn't collect the apple for DNA evidence. The only person I would have to identify from logical that was a child who bit into that apple is 2 children that were missing. I knew who was missing, and subsequent to that, I found 2 placentas in the freezer for those 2 children, which gave me DNA. So I didn't need a bit apple to do anything.
And that kind of leads me to my next line of questioning. You were asked about fingerprinting the house.
Yes.
Is it your testimony then that when you do a search warrant in the house, you don't just go and cover the place with fingerprint dust?
No.
Why not?
It's not, well, I have no evidence of a crime. I'm looking for evidence of a crime, that evidence is going to preclude me to do more investigation to find out who committed the crime and who violated the lock, who caused the damage, who touched the glass, because that may be evidentiary. But if I'm just walking around, the house has got clothes on the ground and there's nothing disturbed that I need to fingerprint, I'm not going to start fingerprinting the whole house for fun, time consuming. Just in CSI terms, if you guys watch TV, that would take forever to fingerprint an entire house, every surface, every item. It's just not logical. It's not done. It's not done by me. It's not done by any other detective I've ever known in this world.
So what you're going to need, and correct me if I'm wrong, in order to get to a fingerprint is some evidence that that's the location of the crime or someone who's involved in the crime and had touched it.
Sustained this lead.
Is it true, is a correct statement to say you need something that would lead you to want to fingerprint that? So
Yeah,
that's
sure.
Announce an answer.
just object.
Overrode the answer again.
That's right. Before I would do that for fingerprinting, DNA, chemical testing, you saw the book with the, I think that's blood. Stop. Let's get the chemicals out. Let's do it. That's when CSI gets into effect and does their thing. It's not just walk in there and use that chemical on every wall, every baseboard. That isn't the way it's done.
To ask a couple questions about the alternative light source that you saw on the counter. How do you recognize that as an alternative light source?
When I was assigned to homicide, I was issued a black light that probably isn't the exact same model, but you wouldn't believe how close it looks if I pulled it out of my desk.
I'm going to show you exhibit number 738. It's an advertisement. Tell me what you see in that picture, what those things are to the left.
Objection, the foundation as to if that's an accurate representation.
Can we see the stand on foundation and relevancy? Or evidence go 352?
Can I ask him if it looks like the one he was issued?
No, it's cumulative.
What's that?
Cumulative.
Okay. Okay. So the one you saw on the kitchen table, on the kitchen counter there, looks like the one you were issued.
Yes.
And that's a portable alternative light source you can carry around.
That's right.
Overruled.
Is it? Did it have a strap on it that you can wrap around your hand?
Mine did. I don't think it's on there anymore. And I don't remember if the one in the photograph did.
I'll pull it up for you. Okay, it's exhibit 47. I zoom into that item.
There is a strap on that one. That is how mine came, but I think I remember the strap at work on mine.
This was also alluded to a little bit. You obtained this border video of some family crossing the border. You didn't have any faces on the video, right?
That's correct.
Okay. You showed it to some family members. You received some information. At some point, what did you do with this case?
By eventually, are you talking about when I transferred to the FBI?
Yeah, at the very end.
I transferred it to the FBI.
What does that mean? Describe what that means.
So, essentially, my investigation after somewhere around 4 years had come to a place where I was still receiving minor bits of information. I had exhausted every single lead, every single tip. Any evidence that I had produced was accounted for or didn't help me in getting the probable cause I needed to move forward in the case. The case had stalled. I didn't know where the mistakes were. I personally believed that they were probably endangered, but I didn't know if that was in California, the United States, Mexico, another country. I didn't know if they had left.
Objection non-responsive narrative.
Oh, answering this. You can ask your next question.
Okay, so having stalled, what did you do with regard to the investigation?
So since it stalled, I met with FBI supervisors. I briefed them on the case and the investigation at that point. I said, essentially, my hands are up. I can't find them. I don't have proof to get what I need. The best proof that we have is the family telling me that they believe that was their family crossing the border on February 8th, substantiated by some tips that I later proved false that were initiated by Patrick McStay that were investigated because he hired a private eye that, quite frankly, I think was fraudulent. And we put those tips in Mexico to rest, but everything was targeted towards Mexico. I said, I don't know where they are, but that's the best information I have. So given that, since it's out of the United States, we've incorporated a lot of your FBI agents in Mexico, Costa Rica. Can you guys take over the case? Take the case from me? And they said, based on what you have, we will.
Okay, so the various items of evidence that you collected, I guess mechanically, what happens to those? Like, for instance, the DNA's reference sample from the defendant, the computers, things like that.
Everything, every piece of evidence gets physically transferred to the FBI. All recordings, reports, case documents get copied and sent to the FBI electronically, and some of them even physically. And now the FBI possess. I no longer am in charge of the case. FBI has it, FBI has the evidence.
Was that in 2013?
That sounds right.
Please refresh your recollection for your report to give us a moment.
If you can give me the page,
If I can find it.
it's probably near the end, I'm guessing. I got it. March 12, 2013, 10 a.m. That meeting took place with the FBI.
And shortly thereafter, all the evidence was transferred, the case was turned over.
Within a week, I would say. That included the trooper.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other requests?
Just briefly, famous last words, right? Just if we go to 738, again, regarding this UV light.
It's up there. You guys-
Yeah, I'm going to see if we can have the...
Actually, why don't we go ahead and take our afternoon recess, about 15 minutes before we, and then, again, keep in mind the admonitions not to form or express any opinion, not to discuss the case with anyone, only want to discuss the case with you. See everyone